get so excited when you passing by.
This is a new playlist entitled Questions Novus Ordo Catholics Can't Answer. I want to challenge my Novus Ordo friends to really think about these questions and come up with their answers in their own minds for their own sakes. The reason behind this playlist is because these are questions to which I believe anyone who accepts the Second Vatican Council as being licit won't be able to give a logically consistent, structurally consistent, and theologically consistent answer. This series is meant to challenge the theological underpinning of the Second Vatican Council, and perhaps it will get Novus Ordo Catholics and neo-trads who accept the Second Vatican Council thinking about what they believe and why they believe it. The first question is, why does the Novus Ordo Church forbid Catholics from being Freemasons? Here's a Q&A that appeared in the Catholic Messenger out of Davenport, Iowa in 1950. It asks, while on our road trip to California, we met a man from Sierra Madre who stated that Catholics can belong to the Masons, and that there was an article in some magazine that they could. I disagreed with him. Was I wrong? This man was not a Catholic. The priest answered, meeting strange and peculiar people is one of the pleasures of travel. But we must not always take them seriously. It is said that people in California do strange things, but not even there may a Catholic join the Masons. He would be excommunicated. And to this day, Catholics are still prohibited from being Masons. According to the Catholic Encyclopedia, the action of the Church against Freemasonry is summed up in papal pronouncements since 1738, the most important of which are listed here. Before the Second Vatican Council, the Church very clearly warned Catholics of the dangers of Masonry. Let's look at some of them one at a time. The first one is that Freemasonry undermines the faith by creating religious indifferentism. For Novus Ordo Catholics who are unfamiliar with the heresy of indifferentism, the term religious indifferentism is given in general to all those theories which for one reason or another deny that it is the duty of man to worship God by believing and practicing the one true religion. The one true religion, of course, is Catholicism. The Catholic Church always taught that outside the Church there is no salvation, and for that reason, Catholics were forbidden from joining the Masons, and even more importantly, from attending Protestant worship services, because these things fostered indifferentism. Of course, attending a mostly secular Freemason meeting would be much less objectionable than attending a non-Catholic worship service with heretical sermons and hymns. But both of these things were forbidden to Catholics. The Code of Canon Law of 1917 says, it is not licit for the faithful by any manner to assist actively or have any part in the sacred rites of non-Catholics. But the illicit Code of Canon Law of 1983 drops this provision. In fact, the Second Vatican Council incorporates indifferentism into its theology. Since the time of Emperor Constantine, the concept of separation of church and state has been alien to the Church. In the 5th century, Pope Gelasius I wrote that the Church and the state should work together. He said that the state should recognize the Catholic Church's role in society, with the Church holding superior in matters of faith and morals, and the state having superiority in worldly matters. The separation of church and state is an American ideal, but it's also a Masonic concept alien to Catholic thinking. But truth was changed for Novus Ordo Catholics by the Second Vatican Council. Dignitas Humanae supports the Masonic concept of separation of church and state and freedom of religion, which brings us to the topic of freedom of religion. Historically, the Church sometimes tolerated other religions and allowed heretics and infidels to worship their false religions in private. However, public worship, processions, and input into societal issues was the province of the Catholic Church only. However, Dignitatis Humanae changed truth for Novus Ordo Catholics, and nowadays there really is no reason for them to oppose freedom of religion. Nowadays, Catholics attend freedom of religion rallies, though that action would have been condemned in prior generations. But nowadays, modern Catholics are conflicted when Satanists are allowed to publicly worship Satan. They have a hunch that it's wrong, but they really can't say exactly why it is wrong, because the illicit changes of the Second Vatican Council clouds their understanding of right and wrong. Another reason Catholics always opposed Freemasonry was because Masons promoted cremation. The Code of Canon Law of 1917 says, the bodies of the faithful departed shall be buried, their cremation being reprobated. Under the Code of Canon Law of 1917, cremation is unlawful, and this isn't a discipline, it's based on divine laws revealed in Scripture. Nowadays, the Catechism of the Catholic Church allows cremation and merely recommends burials. The Church condemned Masonry because at one time it condoned Deism. Deism is the spirit of criticism aimed at the nature and content of traditional religious beliefs, and the substitution of them for a rationalistic naturalism that has frequently appeared in the course of religious thought. So like Protestantism, Deism was used to attack the Church. Nowadays, however, Masons don't really seem to venture into that area anymore. Most Masons are mainline Protestants, so that objection seems moot. Freedom of speech seems to be an American ideal, but is also a Masonic concept. Freedom of speech is antithetical to Catholicism. At least it was until the Second Vatican Council changed truth. Before the Council, the Catholic Church gave Catholics the Index of Forbidden Books. In the United States, the Legion of Decency was a strong force in censoring movies. So that brings us to just about the last complaint that Catholics can have against Masons, and that's they make secret oaths, which was probably the least objectionable of all the charges against Masons. It seems that traditional Catholics have plenty of good reasons not to want to become Masons. But for Novus Ordo Catholics, it seems like they should be good pals with Masons. So, if you accept the Second Vatican Council as being legitimate, please see whether you can answer why the Church forbids Catholics from being Masons. Please don't go searching for something on the internet and then just copying and pasting it here. Please, write something in your own words, something that you've internalized. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll be back again soon, possibly this weekend with another one, but in the meantime, please pray for the Church.
The farmer and the cowman should be friends. Oh, the farmer and the cowman should be friends. One man likes to push a plow, the other likes to chase a cow, but that's no reason why they can't be friends.